Richard, Arkansas got some good recruiting news over the weekend. Linebacker, wide receiver. I know that people might have missed it the last few days. Kind of give us an overarching view of who Arkansas has been able to sign these last few days in football.
Yeah, Central Florida transferred linebacker Andrew Harris, who I think some people may remember when Travis Williams got to Arkansas a couple years ago. He recruited him and looked like that he may join Travis in Fayetteville, but he decided to stay at Central Florida. Coming out of high school, he was committed to Travis Williams. Coming out of high school at Central Florida, and decided to stay there. But now he's signed, and he's going to be a Razorback, and he's a guy that is about 6 foot, 6'1", about 200 pounds in high school now, but he's about 233 right now. Didn't play a whole lot in 2 years. I think they had a couple coordinators and stability as far as the program wasn't the best, and obviously we saw Gus Malzahn leave the program last year. But very, very physically talented. Ran a 10.72 in 100 meters in high school. Ran a 21.5 in the 200 meters. It was wind-aided, but I don't care if it was wind-aided, hurricane-aided, or whatever. 21.5 in the 200 meters flying along with that 10.72. So physically gifted, and obviously still is developed into pretty good size. I was able to talk to him afterwards, and he definitely looks the 6'2", that was 6'1", 6'2", 230 range. So good pickup there. Jalen Brown from Florida State, who signed with LSU out of Miami in high school in 2023. Also became a Hog after an official visit. So a guy that was a highly recruited 4-star coming out of high school and ran a 10.65 in the 100 meters, also in high school. So both very physically talented, and definitely should add depth and possibly, who knows, challenge for playing time.
Yeah. Spring evaluation period underway. I know the coaches have been busy on the road. That's going to give way to camps that are coming up in June. Any news from coaches as you're talking to them as coaches on the staff are making their rounds?
Well, I mean, like you said, they're just making their rounds, and something that I wasn't aware of, and we kind of hit on that. I think back in December and January that they changed the rules to where you could make in-home visits with junior prospects starting then. Before then, it was just senior prospects. But so a lot of coaches, the staff's doing in-home visits with some of the top prospects, and many of those guys will be making their way to Fayetteville in June for official visits. And I think I counted the number of guys that I've confirmed for official visits for June, and it's right around 55 or so. So that's going to be an extremely. I'd have to look back, but I don't know if I've ever seen more than 50 guys scheduled for official visits in the month of June. That's basically 12 to 15 a weekend, and that doesn't include all the unofficial visits where kids come and pay their own dime to visit. But it's obviously a busy time for the coaches. They usually are on the road at 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning and don't get finished till probably about 9 or 10 o'clock at night after making one or two official visits that evening.
Yeah, refresh our memory here because I've forgotten. I know most of the athletes that signed with the football team back in December, a lot of those, early enrolled. But, with high school graduations here in the next week or two, who will be making their way to campus over the next couple of weeks? Because that's always a headline in May, it seems like, is some of those young freshmen get on campus for the first time.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the vast majority of them, I think only about 5 of them will be making their way to campus this June, but it's got to the point where obviously the vast majority of guys come in January, but let's see, a couple of guys that I remember off the top of my head that plan to come. Keandre Johnson, defensive end, who obviously signed back in December. Let's see, Tyjon Overton, safety from Williamson High School in Mobile, and then also Reginald Vaughn, defensive tackle from Jackson, Mississippi area, will be making his way. And Lionel Broodhelm, I guess. I've never asked how to pronounce his last name, but really good looking offensive line, about 6'4", about 310, who played a little bit of in the shotgun at quarterback, which 300-pound quarterback in the shotgun in high school you don't see very often. But that shows his athleticism. And then Trent Sailors is another defensive end from Alabama that will be making his way. But those are Antonio Jordan too. Antonio Jordan, the receiver, all 6'6", 230 from him. 6'6", 230 from Warren will be also reporting. And he's a guy that, it's kind of hard when you report. You obviously get a big jump if you report in January and get to go through spring practice. But if there's one guy that I think that has the potential to be one of these late guys as far as enrolling and play next year, it's Antonio Jordan. I mean, he looks like a tight end out there, but he runs like a receiver, and he is legit 6'6", 230.
Richard, it's funny. I still remember the Mark Jones quote when he called the 2011 game for Arkansas and Tennessee. Is like, Warren, Arkansas is known for two things: tomatoes and great football players. And people are hoping that Antonio Jordan is one of those guys as well. We did get some troubling news over the weekend that Coach Harold Horton passed away at the age of 85. I know his celebration of life is at 2:00 later on at Christ Church of Northwest Arkansas. I'm going to guess that you've run into him in some way, shape, or form over the years. He's spent 40-plus years at the U of A in some capacity. What you could tell us about maybe former players you've spoken to or just the impact he had in not just at Arkansas, but with his family and outside of Arkansas as well, RD?
Well, just a great human being, number one. I mean, obviously, Tim Horton, that's, his son's basically an extension of him, and Tim just widely respected, and Coach Horton obviously was too, and a long history at the University of Arkansas, and went down to UCA and won a national championship. But I'm just a great guy, just somebody when you talk to, you just felt like you know him all your life. No ego, just a great human being who really cared about the kids and the players, that guys that played for him. And you see that on social media with some of the former players, not even guys that played on the defensive line where most of the time he coached, but other guys that obviously were touched by him. So just a great human being, and obviously was part of the Razorback Foundation and chairman, head of that. And, there was, you have a few guys that you think of off the bat as far as being Razorbacks, whether it be a player or a coach or what have you. Harold Horton's probably one of those guys that you remember, along with so many others, Dean Weber and others that contributed so much to the program.
We hadn't touched on this in the last few days. I didn't realize what this was until I looked into it a little bit, Richard. They had the Allen Iverson Classic, where Darius Zov was a part of, 32 points, 11 assists. I guess named the MVP of this. Apparently AI said some really quality things about him. Just watching him, he's one of the three upcoming freshmen in this class, along with Springdale's Isaiah Seeley and Malik Thomas. what have you gathered from watching this 5-star kid that's going to make his way, or is making his way to Fayetteville here in a week or two?
When I watch him play, I just see a guy that's got his stuff together, who kind of reminds me a little bit of Moses Moody, but more physically gifted. And when I say Moses Moody, I say a guy that has a high basketball IQ, doesn't force the issue, lets the game come to him, and he can dominate. He can truly dominate a game. I mean, Allen Alverson named him his National Player of the Year, and he was the MVP of the game on Saturday night. I think he had a really good junior year, but his senior year was probably another notch or two. And Paul Benencardi of ESPN will tell you that he really had matured, and his game matured, and he handles himself like a professional already. And I think that's what separates him from most other guys. Obviously, he's very physically gifted. He's very skillful, but he's got the it factor, and I think that kind of just magnifies everything that he possesses skill wise.
RD, good stuff, man. Have a happy Mother's Day weekend. We'll do it again next Wednesday.
We'll see you guys.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing and we're into the NBA and NHL playoffs, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.